Hello, friends. This is Spencer Love, your host of Over the Top Rope on the Win Column Sports Network. Don't forget you can head to wincolumnsports.ca for all of your previews, reviews, and breaking news from the world of wrestling, be it your major promotions or from the great province of Alberta, Canada.
This is your main man RJ from the Ringside Rant, heard only on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. So go over and subscribe across all your major platforms, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and Stitcher to hear every great interview I have every Monday on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Go over and follow the show's page on Twitter @_Ringside Rant. Follow the network's page @BizWrestleNet. And, as always, embrace the vision.
If you like podcasts and you are listening to them on Backbreaker Media, then you should listen to me, Chris Parrish,
and myself, Maniah,
and the Sounds of Struggle, because we are literally the most entertaining duo you'll ever come across in Western Canadian wrestling, baby.
We talk about things like wrestling
and other sports we like.
Wrestling.
But we won't talk about other sports that we don't like, because it's not that kind of podcast.
Like wrestling.
I mean, we like hockey.
And wrestling.
And we like football.
And wrestling.
And we also like to drink beer.
While wrestling.
Well, not while wrestling, but while watching wrestling.
Yes.
Yeah. If you want to get into a conversation with Maniac and Chris Parrish, then you need to tune into the Sounds of Struggle live on Backbreaker Media.
Every Thursday.
Is when we hope to drop, but sometimes Mike Malawany doesn't do his job right.
Or we're too drunk to forget.
Yeah, that happens too.
Yeah.
He can bleep out the swear word, because we weren't supposed to do that.
Oh,
but
I'll try not to swear. I can't do it.
Yeah. Let's face it, the two of us, we're real.
And spectacular.
And we're a little bit of all right.
Yeah.
Well, so strugglicious.
That we are.
That was kind of the cue. Supposed to be a strugglicious.
Oh, sorry, I'm drunk.
Yeah. So, if you don't want to listen to us, then no, you're stupid, because we're entertaining. And if you want to listen to us, then come listen to us on Backbreaker Media.
Yeah.
Later,
Reset.
Later, bitches.
Welcome to Double Down Wrestling Podcast with KJ. As usual, we got Michael, the referee, in the building at the headquarters of the Backbreaker Medias.
Well, unfortunately, I own the building, so
unfortunately,
I guess I should be in it.
And we have a returning back from injury, Spencer Love.
Number 30 entrant
gentlemen.
in the proverbial Royal Rumble of the Double Down podcast. Thank you for having me again. Always happy to be here. Always happy to talk wrestling. Happy, actually, also that the name Michael the referee seems to have stuck. It just makes you feel more formal, man.
Michael.
And the fact that, I actually announced last week that I'm ending my general managership at MPW. Just so I could get back to commentary. I was actually trying to get rid of the referee moniker, but, well, if it's going to stick, it's going to stick.
Didn't we say we were going to go to Michael the commentary guy?
No,
Michael
you said
the
that.
commentator.
You said that.
Okay, you know what? You're not wrong on that one.
commentator.
That was entirely a me thing.
Anyway, we are on episode 9 of the Double Down podcast.
Can you believe it?
I can. It's the highest rated show on the network right now.
That's right. That's right. Actually, I didn't really know that, but thank you, Mike.
So even if he wanted to, he couldn't cancel you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you can't cancel me. Not until at least episode 10. Because I'm here already, so it's too bad.
We got to wait till Evolution. Then, everything goes all to crap.
Yeah, I was going to say, we can wait until the Royal Rumble. It'll be fine.
Technically, it's 3 months you can fire without probation.
Yeah, there we go.
Stupid Alberta law standards. But we got to admit, we got a jam-packed show coming up this week.
We do. We have so much to talk about. I feel like the main shows, we don't have a whole lot to talk about, but we did have a pay-per-view this week of some sort. Super Showdown.
A live event / pay-per-view, I think is the best way
A
to
glorified house
Down
show.
under. Down under. Anywho, Super Showdown was this last weekend.
Sorry, no, just repeat that one more time.
Down under.
That was bad.
What? I'm like, I don't even really know what I'm talking about. Down under. Anywho.
Australian accents at its finest, folks.
Cracky. Anywho, so shall we start with the Super Showdown?
Please do.
All right, so they came out actually second. This match was second. It was Becky versus Charlotte for the title.
Well, you sort of knew when this is basically a glorified house show that you weren't going to see many titles be switched on these kind of shows.
Yeah.
You did get the hometown boy winning the cruiserweight title, but other than that, you didn't see much either defended or changed in any of the matches, and this was no different. It was personally, it showed how weak that Charlotte's stomach might be with the hits of the belt on her stomach. But
Well, I think it was either last week we talked about this. I predicted a double counter or double DQ. We got sort of there.
Well,
Becky got disqualified after hitting Charlotte with the belt.
I believe
Title, sorry.
Either way, one of us got it perfectly right there. I don't want to mention who it is, but I got 4 fingers pointing back at it. But
Tully Blanchard?
something to that effect.
Or Tessa Blanchard, because you're wearing Tessa Blanchard's shirt.
Yeah, we'll go with that. I'm just supporting Bound for Glory this weekend, but we'll talk about that later on.
I'm actually wearing a Tessa Blanchard shirt too, but I didn't take my sweater off because I didn't want to match.
I'm repping myself from my high school days. So, anywho.
Spencer, your thoughts on the match?
Yes.
My thoughts, firstly, just to go back to what you said, they always seem to do one title change at these super shows or whatever you want to call them, because at the last one they did have the Leaders of Worlds claim the Raw Tag Team Championships. You get Buddy Murphy changing here, so I am going to officially predict you're going to see a title change at Crown Jewel. But yeah, not one title from Raw was defended on this. Becky, Charlotte, I loved the match, but when they were announced for Evolution, you knew you weren't going to get a clean finish here, unless maybe Charlotte Flair was going to win it. I didn't see that happening. Becky Lynch is the hottest star in WWE right now. Completely wrong decision to take the championship off of her, unless you were going to do something like I'm sure we're going to get to when we talk about Evolution. Because I'm brilliant and I should just book the show.
Well, I think that honestly WWE listens to us because we'll get to it when it gets to SmackDown here, but I think we nailed this one right on the head a couple weeks ago.
I predicted this weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks ago.
I'm trying to figure out who actually predicted it first. I haven't had a chance to look at the audio.
Honestly, it was one of our first episodes because Spencer was on the show and I predicted that this is going to lead to a no DQ match or a last woman standing match. I think it was episode 2. We'll go back in the archives. I'll listen to it later.
No. This is where we have our fans.
Sorry,
I want you to go back
yes.
into our archives, check out all the double downs, and see who came up with it first.
I'm fairly certain it was episode 2 or 3 that I predicted it.
We're just going to keep fighting about this, but why don't we go to the big pop of the night for Super Showdown?
I was going to say when Becky turned back around and attacked Charlotte was a huge pop. I liked that. But yes, so my girls, the Iiconics, they got their moment in their home country. Now, I loved it.
To me, this match was more about them getting their pop than actually I don't want to say the quality of the match because it was still a pretty decent match, but
it was mediocre.
Asuka and Naomi sold the hell out of everything for them.
Oh, yeah. So good.
A fantastic job by all 4 ladies in the ring. And then that finisher that everybody seemed to forget that the Iiconics had.
They haven't busted it out, I think, since NXT.
Well, when's the last time they actually got a tag team win?
Weeks and weeks and weeks ago. They actually, yeah.
To be quite honest with you, the last tag team win I remember them getting was their first tag team win against Asuka and Becky the 3 weeks after
their debut?
SummerSlam. I think they've only
Something
had,
like that,
from what I remember, or not SummerSlam, they debuted after Mania, excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't think they've won a tag team match on TV.
No,
since
they've done
then.
a lot of single stuff, but not a lot of tag matches.
They haven't won a lot of single stuff either. Peyton had her first win. What was it? Billie Kay who got her first singles win over.
It was over
Asuka.
Asuka first.
Yeah.
There we go.
That was right
Or
after
no,
Asuka
it was
lost.
over Naomi. That's what it was. Because that's where all
Right,
those
and then Peyton just got her first singles win within the last few weeks, if I remember correctly.
yeah, over Naomi as
But-
well. That's
but-
where Asuka came in, and that's where this whole feud.
Yes,
started.
Spencer.
Excuse
Yes,
me.
Spencer.
To be quite honest with you, I didn't watch Super Showdown with a lot of attention to detail for a lot of it.
Yeah.
This match to me, you know what? All the credit in the world to the Iconics. I absolutely love them. Big shout out to Peyton Royce, PWA alumni. This match to me was more so not about the Iconics winning because, like you said, their pop was huge. It was about the fact that Asuka is the biggest disappointment in WWE since WrestleMania.
She's not disappointed. She looked great in this match, though.
She looks great in every match that she has. I don't think at this point it's well established she's a great wrestler. You can make the same point about Shinsuke Nakamura. You can make the same point about a lot of these quote unquote underpushed people. But since she lost to WrestleMania, which, you know, to me, the more you look back on it, the worse that decision gets because Asuka has now gone from this unstoppable killer to almost being part of a comedy match on the card. Like her and Naomi entering the ring, dancing together. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that there isn't a place for stuff like that in wrestling, which we'll talk about when we get to the mixed match. But like to have Asuka doing that, it's a very, very different situation than having someone like Carmella doing that.
Valid. But, I
for
don't
me
know.
right now,
I'm torn.
Frankly, it's not an indication of the ability of Asuka or any of the people that you spoke of. It's more about the writing capabilities of the staff, not putting them in positive situations.
Completely agree.
Which, you know what? While we're here, we might as well give you a plug for your article you just wrote this week.
Hey,
Spencer.
I did do an article this week, eh? Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check out this week's edition of Bad Decisions in Booking History, the latest written article series on the Win Column Sports Network, we chatted about Bayley. We chatted about Bayley's main roster run, and we chatted about why Bayley, who literally should have been printed money for WWE, simply hasn't been. You know? And I just don't think she has been. I think I could probably do a full episode on... I won't even sit and call Bayley... You can't sit and say she's a failure, excuse me. She's a former Raw Women's Champion. She's likely got, in my opinion, the biggest success story to come out of NXT. She's still obviously a terrific wrestler, but like we said about Asuka, being a terrific wrestler just simply isn't enough. If that was the case, then Chris Masters would be a WWE Hall of Famer.
Touche.
You know, I think that Bayley and you and I are in the same boat here. She's one of my favorite wrestlers too, but there's no denying that she certainly hasn't come anywhere near the heights that I thought that she would have hit by this point. She's 3 years into her main roster run. She debuted in 2016, 2 years, excuse me.
There's no reason that the hype for Bayley that she couldn't have been the next John Cena in terms of female talent.
In the most positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. not any of this Bayley sucks chance that would ever come
Yep.
up. But
I stumbled over the words earlier here in this double down segment, but she was the very definition of the perfect white meat babyface. Like she was such a, I guess, positive role model. Eat your vitamins, drink your milk. Like kids would take her seriously, even in that sort of quote unquote corny positive role model sort of way that, you know, the guy gets blackballed now, or you look at him in an unpositive light, but the way that Hulk Hogan was genuinely looked upon in the 80s, people loved him because he was 100% a babyface. You know? He didn't cheat to win until he joined the NWO. And Bayley retaining that championship, I know we're getting sidetracked here, Bayley retaining that championship and not relinquishing it after that dastardly Sasha Banks won her the championship was the biggest mistake in character development in, honestly, WWE's recent 10-year history.
But check out that article for all the details.
There's my long-winded plug. Shit, you shouldn't give me those anymore. Kayla, your thoughts?
I have opposite thoughts, but my blood pressure's lowered again from talking about other topics, so I'm not going to bring it up. I just don't think the Sasha thing with her not relinquishing the title. Sorry, Bayley. I think it was just bad booking on how they put Alexa over is what really stalled Bailey.
Oh yeah,
But
no one can ever
That's,
deny that.
like, it's not Alexa's fault. It's just the way they booked Alexa to go over. She had all this momentum. They could have made her versus Bailey great, but instead it's almost like they just threw Bailey in the deep end with an anchor and said, "Hey, so Alexa's gonna swim and you're not."
I think that Bailey.
So-
I think that Bailey could have survived something even as bad as that. This is your life segment, if she had been more organically over. I think that if there wasn't already the proverbial stab wound from her not relinquishing that title, even the fact that Bailey, who is someone who that I always saw, I describe her as WWE's pure heart for those Archie comic fans out there. Pure heart, the powerful, could do no wrong. He was 100% on the right side of the tracks. And even the fact that Bailey, when she went to not relinquish that title, said, "Hell no, I'm not relinquishing this." It's like, that's not your character whatsoever. And that was the first time that I really looked and said, well, this is frustrating.
But if you listen to Sasha's promo to Bailey right before Bailey says "hell no," she's basically saying, like, these fans love you, the talent loves you, the blah 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 loves you, like, you wouldn't be like disrespecting them, blah blah blah. So that's why she kind of did it. But regardless, let's move on.
Yeah, because
Let's
you
move
want to talk
on.
about bad booking decisions. Let's move to that last match.
You know, I really don't even want to talk about it, but we have to address it. I really didn't like the match. I liked how they booked
hold
Liv
on,
and Brie.
hold on.
Sorry.
Before you get to it,
Okay.
we should at least identify what we're talking
Oh,
about.
pardon me. It is the Riot Squad versus Ronda and the Bellas. 6-woman tag match.
Yeah, okay. You want to finish your thought there, sir?
I
got a rant on this.
I honestly, I'm not even gonna lie and sugarcoat. I fell asleep watching this match because I just wasn't really that interested. The only part I was interested in was the interaction Liv and Brie had when they locked up at the beginning. Besides that, I pretty much fell off and just didn't care. I don't want to say it like that because that sounds really rude, but like I just didn't care. I'm sorry.
I will say one good thing and then one bad thing about this match. The good thing,
Okay.
Brie Botch was left on the ring apron for the majority of the match, I would say. It was
Wait till we talk about Raw.
Well, we'll get to that
Oh,
cluster,
gosh.
you know what, when we get to it.
Oh, God
But
forbid.
The part that I didn't like was the actual finish. A double arm bar on both.
Yes, you did say you'd hated
both
that.
Liv and Ruby. For the fact that
Was it Ruby?
Ruby was in there.
Okay,
as well,
sorry.
yeah.
I thought it was Sarah for some reason.
No.
Carry on.
The two smaller girls ended up in this because they needed the small space to get that arm bar in. I'm sorry, but that looked uglier than you know what. That looked sicker than you know what, and that just looked like it didn't look realistic.
Okay, I was literally just about to ask you why you didn't like it, but it didn't look realistic. Okay.
It didn't look realistic, and I don't think you're going to have two girls in the same arm bar that there's going to be sufficient pressure on both of them that they're both going to be tapping out.
Yeah.
I highly doubt that that's going to be a realistic situation. Spencer, you're looking rather upset about this.
I'm not upset about it. You know what? I don't really have many comments on the match that haven't been said already. It was fine. I think the one thing that I do want to say is that Ruby Riott has quietly become the MVP of the Raw Women's Division.
We put her over every week, so
Yep.
here's your turn to put her over. Put her
I've sang
the F
praises.
over.
I've sang her praises since the Riot Squad debuted. I think that her match against Charlotte at Fastlane is severely underrated. And I think that
So good.
since coming over to Raw, she's, even despite the losses that she routinely takes, I still see her as a threat.
Well, I was going to say, are they even really losses at that point?
Yeah, when you're tapping out clean every week, they're losses.
Yeah.
Well, when you look the best in that match and you come out looking amazing every time, it's not really a loss in my book.
100%. She's an absolute ring general.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I thoroughly appreciate her. That's all there really is to say about that.
Well, do you want to fast forward 48 hours now, or do you want to...
Okay, well, we might as well just keep talking about them because they basically redid this match, 24 hours later.
Yeah.
The only thing I gotta say is that there's no more excuse that Brie should have ring rest. The girl can't even do a frickin' snapmare, and you expect her to, I'm sorry, that really pissed me off when I saw that, and it really, like, you can tell I'm heated about it.
All right, folks, if you know old movies, go back to Smokey and the Bandit, where you had the officer with the blood pressure monitor that would just keep going off and off higher and higher. That's what's happening to KJ right now.
It's just like, I'm sorry. Like, there's people can excuse all the past few weeks, but shut up, Mike. But it's so true. I can, like, literally feel my heart pressure, like I'm gonna have a heart attack. But you can excuse, like, if people have excuses for all that crap that's happened in the last few weeks, you just take into part what happened on Monday. And I'm sorry, how the fuck did you mess up a snapmare? I'm sorry. That's all. Someone else talk. Someone else talk.
She under-rotated, and that's how she screwed it up.
She didn't even leave her feet. That is not how you do. Someone else, take it away, Mike.
So
take away. Take it away.
No rotation is still under rotation, KJ. You know what? I think that the same sort of thing that you were saying is completely correct. The match was fine. I don't really want to sit here and slag anyone. The popular thing is to complain about Brie Bella. Everybody botches. She just does it more often than everybody else. It's like how everybody drinks. She's an alcoholic. The best part of this whole thing for me, and I know you guys are going to disagree with me, but turning the Bella's heel is one of the smartest decisions WWE has made in years. I think it's a very natural alignment for the both of them. I think they're both naturally better heels as is. Turning them against Ronda when everybody already wanted to boo them. You know what? Looking at it this way, Brie botch, quote unquote, for both of you guys.
Oh, I love Brie. I'm just pissed at how it's handled.
No, this could not be more fortuitous timing for her to have had some brutal botches because everybody wants to boo her anyways. Let them.
Well, they've been booing her before she friggin' did all these botches.
The same theory they should have taken with Roman Reigns years ago.
All right.
Right, I don't know. We saw this turn coming for weeks, though, so I don't know.
Well, were you going to turn Ronda going into Evolution? Because this was another...
Well, no, I just hoped that they would just not do Ronda versus Nikki at all. But carry on, Mike. You take the floor.
Thank you, KJ, for bringing up exactly the part that ticks me off about this whole thing. It's simply the fact that we all saw it coming.
Yeah, for weeks.
They found such a predictable way to set this match up. Stephanie could have come out and announced this match and then have a slow heel turn with these guys. Do something different. Like, this is not something new with these two. And to me personally, it was just, you were just counting, were they going to do this during the match or after the match where they turn on Ronda?
Yeah.
Yeah. If we're going to nitpick with it, I think my biggest issue is they didn't make it obvious enough. Now, maybe they're going to go back. I will always...
come on. Brie Bella throwing out the L for loser to her on the way
out. No.
There it is.
I'm talking the lead up to this. The fact that the Bella twins turned, this all comes prior to getting any explanation for the turn, anything along those lines. But there was absolutely no preamble to it. I think that's the biggest issue. There was no tease tension during the match at Super Showdown. There was no tease tension or arguments or missed tags or any of that sort of shit that you would normally see in the lead up to something like this. You know, perfect example is you see Bobby Roode getting annoyed with Chad Gable the other night on SmackDown after the win, right? I think that you needed to have more of that leading up to the turn to make it effective. Because right now I'm just sitting here and like you guys said, it was an obvious match. But there's plenty of obvious matches that we've been given over the years that I can excuse because the build is outstanding.
Well, I'll take your comments, but I will raise them a little bit here. They did do this build-up that you're asking for.
Yeah, the backstage segments.
It was all on being the elite.
But the problem is, they did it way too long ago, and they had this huge gap in between when they did it. The biggest example I can give is, I believe it was just a month in.
We want Natty to train us, not you, right?
Yeah, that was exactly the point where
and that's the
or Natty to train me.
Training services. They offered the training. And that was the night of the first Brie botch. And it
was right after it.
They came in there and they offered their training, and Ronda said, "No, I got.
I have Natty.
I don't need
that. That was within a month ago.
That
If
was
you're really
about...
if you're looking for reference,
No, that was
the first pre-watch,
over a month ago, wasn't it?
No, it was 3 weeks ago.
I'm going to
3
Google
weeks
this
ago,
shit.
because then the next week was Liv Morgan.
No, it was prior to that.
No, that's
Because
what
they
I'm
kept
saying.
Bria out of the ring
no,
for
there
like
were
2
more
weeks.
botches before that.
You're talking about the suicide dives. That was
Prior to that, there were more.
well. There's
Just as she came back.
Either way,
regardless.
I think that the fact that you couldn't keep something consistent like that, if you're going to do a one-off, you know what? I'm 100% certain with you bringing that up. That's going to be something they show in the vignette leading up to their match at Evolution.
Yeah, but
Right? But they didn't do enough of that. You have to consistently build tension. You know what? The best way I can describe it for all the Breaking Bad fans out there, I think I've even brought it up to you before, Mike. Throughout the first season and a half, couple seasons, there was a storyline going along where Walt White's sister-in-law, Marie, was basically a thief. And this went on for a bit, and they teased this tension, and then they never paid it off. So my big issue with this is like the fact that they teased all this tension, they never paid it off. And now out of nowhere, they're going to pay it off.
and for a crowd,
You know, it seems...
when you're trying to get a consistent audience sticking around week to week, and you have them have a storyline disappear like that for a while, it's not like you could just pick up and go with something like that.
Yep. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Especially with people as major as this, because you know what? I know that there's wrestling fans out there who do specifically tune in for Ronda Rousey, and they are the people that, if you're going to watch a 10, 15, 20-minute segment of wrestling, she's the reason you're watching. So if you're paying attention to the same consistent 20 minutes of wrestling, you're going to even remember this little bit, right? It's going to be, where the hell did this come from? They were together on Saturday, and they were completely fine 2 days ago. Are they jet-lagged?
Yeah,
That's the best reason right now I can think of for the Bellas turning heel, is like they were upset after a long flight.
As sad as it sounds, that sounds like WWE booking, to be honest. But
Ronda kept kicking my seat. Like,
KJ, has your blood pressure gone back down again?
No.
we can talk about Becky again.
we can move on to the next match.
I
if
just
you
can't.
Let's
Let's carry on.
There's other matches.
Okay, you know what? So here's. Let's just cut in real quick.
Oh,
Who
God.
would you rather have Ronda Rousey face at Evolution? Because you can't leave.
I'll
her
be
out the fight.
honest. Natty. I want Ronda and Natty. This would have been perfect. I'm sorry, because Natty's been there since her day one. Why the hell not do their blow off at Evolution? Or a match at Evolution? I'm just saying. I would have liked Natty to have a moment like that.
If they're talking about Natty being such an inspiration for the women's evolution,
Boom, there it is. I'm
She's-
sorry.
she's
Like,
at
I just
best-
thought of that now, but I was thinking about it while you were rambling on. But I was like, honestly,
Rambling,
I would have,
thanks.
not you guys, but just in general, I was like, that would have really been a match that I can, like, get interested in. I'll be honest, like, I would have liked Natty to have... It fits perfect. Natty's been training Ronda for years. Ronda and the MMA for her swimming. I would have really liked to have some sort of... I think it would have been great to have it blow off at Evolution, or just blow up at Evolution. I think it would have been
wouldn't
cool.
minded a spirit of competition match.
Yeah, something like that.
You don't need an overblown storyline for this one. For the mere fact
For that, you do. I think if you're gonna put Ronda and Natty in the ring together, there needs to be a story.
I would have
I
just
don't
liked to
think-
have
Story of
Natty beat the
respect?
shit out of her.
No, because
that would have been cool, too.
a story of respect, you were doing the two a disservice by how good an actual feud could be. I genuinely think that,
I think this is something you can come back to at Mania, but right now,
I think, Ronda and Natty is bigger than that. I think that is a money match that you could have rather than... I don't mean to slag Evolution here, but they're not referring it to as one of their big 5 pay-per-views. I think you could have Ronda and Natty at the Rumble.
It's below Crown Jewels, that's for sure.
and that pay-per-view might not even happen, but that's a story for another
Oh, yeah.
Show, don't call it a
fuck.
pay-per-view.
Anyway, let's move on to another match because we're really starting to,
Derail.
yeah.
I
We're
just
just upset
can't.
here.
I just can't.
Oh, I'm fine.
Well-
KJ's upset, and you're the host, so really, you tell us what to do on this one.
Fuck.
Well, okay, let's.
I just am so
Kate,
Yeah.
let's move on to something that makes you happy.
Let's. So what else happened on Raw this week?
Well, let's go to the match that nobody expected out of nowhere, and
Nia and Ember.
yeah,
You know what? Well, we'll talk about this in my little bad bitch segment later, but honestly, I liked it. Even though Nia pretty much dominated the whole thing, I quite liked it.
I think this was one of those matches that you put on a card when nobody's expecting it. You get a good match out of it, and you can actually develop something out of it.
You know, it kind of gave me, like, I don't want to compare it, but I'm gonna. It kind of gave me pre blow up. It gave me Sasha Bailey competition vibes. Just like on their little Raw friendship when they had a match, just to, because just the way they addressed the friendship version of Nia and Ember, in the sense that it was like a spirited competition fight, and they were still friends after. And Nia was posting stuff on Instagram that night about the match and how she enjoyed it. There was no anger towards the count out win. Maybe Nia will go full out heel next week. Who knows? Or they'll stick with them as a tag team. I think with what's to come in the next few weeks, they're going to be together as a team.
I'd completely disagree. I cannot wait for Nia to go full on heel. You ask who knows? This guy knows. Nia's going to go full heel, and you're going to see her put over Ember Moon at Evolution in one of the opening matches. And it'll be a barn burner. I'm very excited for it. Ember Moon, I talk about Ruby Riott. I think Ember Moon deserves an equal amount of praise. Like, since she feuded with Asuka, she has been lights out. There hasn't been a single misstep as far as I'm concerned. The biggest critique you can make against her run on Raw so far is the fact that she's not getting booked enough. And I think if that's the biggest complaint, let's get real here. That's a pretty good complaint to have about someone.
Absolutely. This match here, like I said, it could be Evolution worthy, and I think it will be. Obviously, they got to find more matches now based on the next segment we're going to talk about after this. But when it comes to these two, you got to find some way to show the younger generation of wrestlers, and this was damn well a great way to show them off in this matchup here. So, yep,
I'm 100% on your side.
Wow.
Yeah, I had nothing else to add.
Well, let's get on to the other major development here for Evolution in that other segment from.
Wait, can we leave that till the main event slot and talk about the mixed tag next? And we'll leave the Trish segment for last.
Let's go to the mixed
Okay.
tag. It's your show.
I want to just talk about it last because it made me really happy, that segment. But
Which mixed tag?
Finn and Bailey versus Mahalisha again.
Are we not talking about SmackDown?
The rematch.
This is on Raw. This is on Raw
yet.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they had
right.
a rematch. I had a note about this.
Is it Alicia sucks?
Well, I had a question to ask you, Mike, because I wrote this down specifically to you because I wasn't sure if Spencer was going to be here. But I said, do you think they usually don't address Mixed Match Challenge and et cetera, on main shows? Do you think the reason they're doing stuff like this on Raw right now, excluding the fact that Bailey and Finn have nothing going for them right now, do you think they're doing it to get people to watch the Mixed Match Challenge?
3,000%.
Okay.
I guarantee you that the ratings are down from what they expect, and these guys need to realize that only the U.S. can watch Facebook Watch.
Yeah.
So everybody's got to wait 2 days to see the actual results unless you go on Twitter and spoil yourself.
Like us.
Absolutely, they're going to go through and try to hype up the Mixed Match Challenge whenever they can. They're going to try and hype up every show that's possible now. I'm surprised they don't have more UK people on the Raw and SmackDown with the announcement that went through this morning. So,
Rhea Ripley, boom, 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 boom.
well, the mere fact that NXT UK is starting next Wednesday on the network.
Boop. There it is.
I'm surprised they aren't doing more plugging of that coming up here. But
Well, we
Spencer,
saw just the first commercial for it this week. So we're getting there, slowly.
Yeah. Spencer, your
WWE
thoughts?
has 80 things to promote at once, and we're just going to have to live with the fact that most of it we're going to find out about a couple of days before and have to scramble to rearrange our plans to watch the shit. That is the life of people who talk about wrestling as a hobby. As for the rematch from the Mixed Match Challenge, I didn't watch it. I think I fast-forwarded through this part, so sorry for my lack of contribution. man, am I sick of Alicia Fox. I just wish she would either be strictly a manager on one of the WWE network shows that I don't watch, or frankly just not be in WWE anymore. She has a very shrill voice and it hurts my ears. Jinder Mahal, represent, PWA alumni, big fan. Love you, man.
Well, Vicky Guerrero had a shrill, and everybody wanted to see her around.
Excuse me?
You know what? But I was talking with Hayden yesterday, and I appreciate Vicky Guerrero because she comes out like maybe every 7 months. Maybe now.
I was gonna
Alicia
say
Fox is
barely.
there like every week.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
I just want them to keep her with Jinder. She's hilarious with them. I love it. I like her more with them more than when she was on 205.
with Cedric.
Yeah.
And Sasha?
And
Sasha. I'm not wrong.
Noam
there.
Dar. She was with Noam Dar. Yeah.
Yeah, but Sasha was also with Cedric.
Yeah, for like 3 weeks.
True, and Alicia was there just a little bit longer.
They've really
She was there for
tried
like half a
everything with
year.
205, haven't they?
Hey, they did something great this week.
Yeah, I was going to say, I liked that as
Championship
well.
on Buddy Murphy.
Well, besides that.
The return of Maria Kanellis on
Oh,
205
Maria and
Live.
Mike. The owners, I will say, of the best entrance music in WWE.
Power of love.
Oh, it's so great. Maria, great to see her back. I think one of the
Badass.
most underrated managers, honestly, ever, to be quite honest with you.
And the fact that
Fine in the ring.
Mike Kanellis has found his way back to the ring after a lot of personal issues.
I think that that's just something that needs to be commended flat out. I'll never say a bad word about the guy personally because, frankly, good for him.
But we're getting off the women train here. Let's get back on it here. KJ.
That was one sentence. We were talking about Maria.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you know.
Here, we got the main event here now.
Yes.
The main event spot for Raw. Sorry.
You know me now, Mike. You know me. You can probably guess how I felt watching that whole segment there with the 4 girls there.
Little bit of goosebumps.
Fuck. My heart was so happy that it could have just been pure silence. But we got Trish. And then we had Mickey. And then we had Lita. Holy moly, my 10-year-old heart was smiling so hard. I was just like, wow, I'm so happy right now.
Now, did you get the WrestleMania 22 reference?
I did. I popped for it. I was like, wait, they just referenced WrestleMania, right? So I had to Google to double check, but I was like, oh, I loved it.
Yeah,
I
but
loved it so much.
Did you get the extra reference in there? About things
Which one?
feeling good at WrestleMania 22?
Okay, Mike, we didn't have to bring that one
I'm
up.
sorry, but that's just...
I don't get it.
Go back and watch,
know.
Spencer. That's all.
But no, I thought it was great. And let me just say, I really like Sassy Mickey. Like when she's super sassy. And she got to show it in this segment. I absolutely loved it.
Now, what do you think about the 2 singles matches being turned into a tag match here, Spencer?
I think I might be the only person in the world who's disappointed, in all honesty, going through Twitter and that. But, I really hate, I've got the same complaint about the Shawn Michaels return. I hate a tag team match being billed as someone's return. I really do. And the both of them being back in the ring officially for the first time, I think that you have the opportunity to really make it, unless they've got something else big planned. But they had the opportunity, if you really think that Trish Stratus versus Alexa Bliss isn't a marquee match according to today's WWE standards, then you were really just looking at everything that WWE does with some sort of bias to it, because Alexa Bliss, for all the complaints that people have about her in the ring, all that sort of stuff, she's accomplished, frankly, by the numbers, almost as much as Trish has. She is one of the top women in WWE. Now, I understand everybody's got their complaints about, there's personally people I would want to watch Trish. Trish Sasha, to me, is a money match, regardless of where you put it on. But I think you're always going to have complaints like that, regardless of gender, regardless of anything about who people are facing. I think that it's really disappointing that we're not going to get a singles match, especially between Lita and Mickey. I think the history there that they could have played up was just fantastic. The big thing for me, number one, I love seeing Dave Meltzer get worked. So him sitting there and justifying that this tag match was quote unquote the plan all along and yada yada yada. Like, shut up! You live in your mom's attic, you dick. I have.
The thoughts of that statement are belong to Spencer Loves.
Yeah, feel free. Care of. Actually, you know what? Just message me on Twitter if you want my address to send me mail. I'm not putting that on here. It leaves me wondering if Alexa Bliss is more hurt than people think.
Well, I was literally going to say that. I think that's why they're protecting Alexa and her injury, because I don't think she could. Honestly, I'll be straight up honest. I love Trish, but in that match, Alexa would have had to carry the match. Trish hasn't been in a singles match in 10 years. So Alexa would have had to. What?
You mean Lita, not Alexa?
No, Alexa. It's been forever since she's wrestled.
It's been like a month, barely. But
when was her last singles match?
When she got hurt against. No, it was after she got hurt, wasn't it? Yeah, because she wrestled.
It was a rematch.
Yeah, the rematch. Yeah, there we go. I think that Alexa would have had to carry that match, but I think she's still hurt. So I don't think that she would have had the ability to fully carry Trish. Not that she would have had to carry her on her back, but I think it's for the better. And I honestly think, I read an article about it this week actually, that the biggest reason they want to do it is because if they really do, I don't know how much truth there is to it, but I think it's pretty cool if they do it. But if there's any legitimacy to the fact that they are going to introduce these women's belts soon, these women's tag team titles, I've heard that Trish and Lita want to fight for them at least once. So I think it leads to it with them being a team. And everybody knows that their whole gimmick outside of WWE right now is doing all these appearances as their team bestie. I think it would be great. Protect your talent. And I think the match is still cool. I like that they combined it. It makes sense why they did it. A little disappointing, but at the same time, I'm very excited for it. So,
well, I'm going to take a little statement out of the podcast here, and I'm going to double down on what you mentioned there.
Boom.
Not only am I going to, I think it's because of Alexa's injury.
Yeah.
But I also think it might possibly be because of the conditioning of both Trish and Lita, more so Lita than Trish.
Well, and I want to say it's very commendable if one of the two of them, or both, came forward and said, hey, I don't think I can wrestle to the best of my abilities. And it's kind of what HBK said when he said if he were to come back, he said that I'm not my prime anymore. I don't want people to remember this, et cetera, et cetera. $10 million, you'll be back in that ring, though. But, I mean, it's commendable if one of them were to come forward and say, hey, listen, I can't put on a 5-star match anymore. Let's make it a tag.
Well, my thinking is you can have Alexa carry a woman like Trish Stratus through a match.
Yeah.
But Mickie James, while she had a hell of a debut in NXT, she had Asuka there to carry her through that match. Now, Mickey's got to do the carrying to take Lita through it.
I think she could.
I think she could, but it might not be as good as, like you say, as people would want to remember it as. So,
yeah.
Spencer.
Oh, man, where to begin? There's a lot to pick apart in that one. I'm just going to sort of work my way back. Number one, if you think Mickie James hasn't carried a match since she's returned, then
she has every freaking week. She basically does
every match that she's been in. She's there to, I would sort of assume, impart her wisdom on the younger wrestlers there. So if she couldn't get back in the ring with someone that she's likely still insanely familiar with, it's not like she didn't wrestle Lita once or twice. I think that's a poor excuse for putting him in a tag team. The Alexa situation I understand a little more on as far as it would have to do with the injury and that, but I think the way I've always looked at it is Led Zeppelin is my favorite band, and Robert Plant has always said I will not put Led Zeppelin back together if I don't think I can do it to the best of my abilities. So you know what he hasn't done? Put Led Zeppelin back together. I think that, especially in the case of Shawn Michaels, maybe I'm giving a little extra heat here to Trish and Lita on this end, but why return? I think if you're going to have to go to Vince or Kevin Dunn or Road Dogg or P.S. Hayes or whoever the hell writes and books these events, if you have to go to them a month before and say, hey, look, I just didn't train hard enough for this, or I didn't get in the gym, or whatever the situation is, again, you're the wrestler, you're the fan much longer than I've been. I am the third least qualified opinion in this room. But if that's your excuse, then frankly for me, it does tarnish the reputation a bit.
Well, that's why I think it's because of Alexa's poor injury there. That's the only thing I can think of. As soon as I said it, I was like, well, shit, poor Alexa probably isn't ready to wrestle a 10-minute with Trish, for God's sakes, you know?
I'd have to agree with you. Most likely that is the reason.
My heart sunk a little bit for the girl. I felt bad for her.
We're over speculating a little bit too much here on this.
Well, yeah. I still like it. I'm looking forward to seeing Trish and Lita team up. I'm excited as long as they're still on the card and they're wrestling against two of my favorite wrestlers. Hell yeah, I'm going to be happy about it.
I describe it as your parents screwing up your birthday cake as a kid. It's like, yeah, you still get a cake, but you really wanted a different one.
All right.
No, yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, I think we're going to wrap up Raw there. Is there anything else we need to go over with on Raw?
Besides my smiling heart, leaving out of Raw. Oh, I really liked. They looked good though when they were fighting off Mickey. There, they looked pretty good though.
Yeah.
It just makes me very happy.
And here's the part that I was thinking of. Trish working in what size heels were those?
Like
6,
at
8
least
inch?
4 or 5 inch heels, like great.
And she was actually moving around okay in them. It's
like
she
Bryce
needs to give
Dallas
lessons
Howard
to
of Jurassic
Charlotte.
World.
pretty much.
Exactly.
I love how you're throwing out all these references to movies and stuff I haven't seen yet. So I'm a little bit too much of a shut-in.
I'm uncultured and wrestling's my life. So.
Well, that's fine.
No,
You're
they looked good.
You're the pop culture gentleman of Backbreaker Media here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I don't know if it's true.
Now.
If it's true that they're building Lita and Trish as like a team for the next like pay-per-view,
Survivor Series?
I'm not upset about it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I'm not upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fuck, that's gonna make me happy. And all I gotta say is, Team Bestie versus Boss and Hug, book it the fuck now. That's all I gotta say. I'm down for it.
That sounds great. You know what sounds better? Singles matches.
I just think it's better to protect everybody. So and I'm looking at this as a wrestler perspective, not a fan. That's all I have to say about it. Because
Fair enough. We're going to get into a lot of disagreement.
Mae Young
match a tag team match then.
Mae Young.
No.
Mae Young.
How about SmackDown?
Oh crap! Oh, I didn't write SmackDown down because all I had to say was in capitals: Becky freaking Lynch versus Charlotte freaking Flair. That's all I gotta say.
Well, there's
holy moly.
Well, let's go in general first before we get into that.
Yeah.
Only 2 segments this time.
Yeah, I was really
that involve
surprised.
Ladies here. That actually surprised me quite a bit.
Especially considering who they left off.
Yeah.
Yep. I think. Do you want me to start unpacking? I haven't unpacked anything yet.
Oh my!
I think. Well, you guys wanted to start with Charlotte and Becky, so yes.
Let's go with that.
Yes,
well,
I
they did
completely
open the
agree.
show.
They did open the show. Very excited for the very first ever. Yes, the first ever last woman standing match in WWE history.
Yeah, it's stupid because didn't they list Asuka versus Nikki on one of their most memorable matches like what,
I think it was
2
number
months ago?
4, yeah.
Or something stupid like that?
That's exactly
Like,
my
are you
issue with
kidding
it.
me?
You know, I don't have a big problem with WWE's revisionist history. It is the way you've got to be with a lot of live television, even overall. But the fact that they are essentially glossing over one of what I consider one of the top 2 women's matches in NXT history,
I'd say top
is
5.
silly to me.
Top 5.
To me, the biggest thing here is I don't think Vince has ever watched a match of NXT in his life.
What a slap in the face.
Probably
That's such a
thinks
good match.
It's a game show.
Between a game show or some little
The winners come up after WrestleMania.
Kitty indie territory. That's all it is for him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't think that anything that NXT produces could be better than what WWE produces right now, which is completely false. Let's not even kid ourselves here, but at the same time,
hell, they produced Charlotte freaking Flair. Hello? Like, I don't get it. Like, come on.
But let's talk about what happened in this match here. Like,
it was freaking brilliant.
Excellent wrestling.
Brilliant.
Excellent wrestling happened, Mike.
Psychology.
And that's one thing that is missing a lot from a lot of the stuff that's been going on. you have all these backstage segments. You got all this cookie cutter stuff that the writers are throwing out. These two seem to just been given a rough storyline about what's going to happen.
Go.
And just said go. And these two are laying it out every single match now.
Becky Lynch is having a run like Seth Rollins had earlier this year. It's something to be commended. And I would even say she's probably hotter than he was at the time. She's the most popular person in WWE right now, bar none.
I would have
and deservedly so.
Charlotte Flair's intensity. I am impressed with that girl.
Well, she's finally gotten somebody to go up against that
brings it out of her.
She needs to keep up with.
That's a better word. There you go.
It used to be her leading it around.
Yeah, her last two opponents.
2 or 3. They wouldn't let her go full bore ever since that Banks feud that she had late, 2017, 2016?
No, Bailey. I think since Bailey, because when her and Sasha were up there, they were constantly doing, well, you can't even see what I'm doing, but they were trying to match each other. And as soon as one would match the other would jump. And then she kind of had her little feud with Bailey. They had some good matches. Bailey retained at Mania, and I feel like Charlotte fell off for a bit. She kind of went to she did go to SmackDown, not kind of. Had that, and then, yeah, you're right, Mike. She hasn't really had an opponent that she can do that with until Becky now. And I don't know if I count Asuka.
Spencer, I'm more with KJ on this when it comes to Asuka here, because just for the length of time that this feud happened, Asuka was 2 months, essentially from the Rumble to Mania.
And they didn't even have her challenge Charlotte till 3 weeks before Mania?
There's a difference to me between a full-fledged feud and a match, and I think that you can say in their match at WrestleMania, Asuka pushed Charlotte just as hard as Becky pushed her in any match, just as hard as Bailey pushed her in any match, anything on that end. Now, if we're talking about a full-fledged feud, yeah, absolutely. You get the benefit of time with anything, but that's like saying, it's like comparing any other feud to Michael's Undertaker, who feuded for 2.5 years brilliantly.
Well, to me now, when it comes to Charlotte to really prove herself, because a lot of people were giving her grief for being a paper champion, that 5 of her titles were just quick flips back and forth, where honestly she never really got that push, and now she has to prove that if she's going to get that 8th title to beat Trish Stratus, she's going to have to work clearly for a good 2-3 months going into this pay-per-view. So that's
quick title flips do not equal poor work, though.
Oh, absolutely not. But when you're talking to the casual fan,
yeah, but to say she wasn't leading the Raw women's division, even when Sasha had her 20-something day title reigns and all that sort of stuff, even when she held the championship, I would still say that Charlotte was the focal point of that division, because they didn't bring Bayley in to face Charlotte. They didn't bring in Sasha's protege. They didn't bring in obstacles for any of those other women. They based their programming around Charlotte.
Well, that's like in RCW, where you have Envy as the top person in that promotion. If you don't have credible challengers around there, of course she's going to be the focus of the division.
Or she's going to be going for Steven Styles' bounty.
KJ?
Your thoughts?
This is speaking from a wrestling point, not a fan. Even when Charlotte was, quote-unquote, the focal point, I don't think she was. You look at what was being cheered in matches she wasn't even involved in. Who was the star? Sasha freaking Banks. She was getting "We Want Sasha" chants in matches she wasn't even in for months and months and months and months and months and months and months. And you look at when her and Charlotte, yeah, you need a great opponent. Sasha barely had the title. The longest she held that title was 22 days, I think. 21 days.
Is that an indictment of the booking, or is that an indictment
in my opinion,
of Sasha Banks?
In terms of performance, I really like Sasha's performance. In that feud, Charlotte pushed her. Hell, they pushed each other for months and months. I mean, I don't know. I think, to go with what you said, Mike, Charlotte hasn't been given... She's been given opportunities because she's won title after title, and she hasn't really been out of the title picture. But I think she needs to be given an opportunity to prove why she is champion. And I don't think she's been given enough credibility to prove that yet. I mean, maybe her and Asuka, their match, fine. But I think a lot of people disagreed because they wanted Asuka to win. But I think that the next time she wins the title, she needs to be given a little bit more, I don't want to say free reign, opportunity to prove that she's worthy of these 8 title reigns. And I don't know if she's necessarily had that yet, in my opinion. I don't know.
I know we should move on here from just talking about the title reigns in general, but the last that I got, in Spencer, I'll ask you this. Of the 7 title reigns of Charlotte, can you think of any of them where she faced any real adversity in terms of gaining them?
No, but that's not her character. I think if people are getting "We Want Sasha" chants, I don't think Sasha would have been getting that if she was the boss, the bad bitch heel that she was. I think that alignment on that end really does have a lot to do with it, because I know that if Charlotte Flair was to take off for 6 to 8 months the same way that Sasha was written off TV, literally the purpose of that was to get the "We Want Sasha" chants.
False.
They're doing things completely correctly.
False.
Or maybe Sasha just took another break.
Brooklyn
But
2015.
who would have thought that the site of her greatest triumph people would get chanted? It's like Tyler Breeze still getting chanted in Calgary.
Pretty much.
You know?
But you know what? Like I said, we could go on about this in our own separate little podcast here for an extra hour. So
Triple Down coming to late night hours at Backbreaker Media.
that's what Patreon's for. What do you guys think about the LCD screen and the hit that these girls took through that?
Charlotte's a badass.
Love it.
And the fact that they still played it up during the mixed match challenge later on,
She's a
which we'll get to
badass.
later.
I
This
think
is
it
the
just
shit
shows-
I'm talking
I
about.
think
She's
it-
proving she's worthy
I think
right
it
now.
just shows that Charlotte is one of the top dogs in WWE. The fact that she's going to go, and I know you're going to praise Mae Young later for this, so the fact that Charlotte spent her entire match selling the one arm because of an injury sustained 2.5 hours earlier, perfect.
And the fact that you didn't see anything from Becky on social media whatsoever for the next day. That's the part that I enjoyed as well. So,
Mike,
Gotta
I'm
give
going to
credit
say
to
it,
both
Mike. This is what separates the women from the girls. Boom. Shit like that every frickin' time.
now, speak.
Boom.
Well,
She's on her way. Charlotte's on her way.
Yeah.
She's getting there. Titles don't mean you're the best. I'm sorry, not in professional wrestling. Statistically, the common fan, but yeah, no. Go on, carry on.
speaking of carrying on, I think we need to take a little trip. I unfortunately, we're going to have to take this trip, and it's to the home of the National League Central winning champions, going on to the League Championship Series, Milwaukee Brewers. Going out to Milwaukee here with
Milwaukee.
One Night in Milwaukee Part 2.
You knew this was going to end like shit, and I'm just happy that they cut its head off early.
Amen.
There is no... These storylines never end well, and if you want to look at exactly why, look at the last time they tried to do a storyline like this with Rusev and Lana and Summer Rae and Dolph Ziggler. It ended poorly. The biggest thing that I'm really, really happy about is they got the alignments correctly with this one. I would have been really disappointed if they'd had Rusev and Lana turn on Aiden, sort of making them the proverbial heels in this one. You know what? They owned it. I love the fact that Aiden, after he gets found out, he makes the joke about the offer still being open. Like, you know what? I like continuity in WWE, even if it's dumb continuity. So the fact that they didn't just brush it over, they ended it, they made their statement on it, and now they're going to move on to whatever the next pay-per-view is, Rusev beating Aiden English. Great.
KJ, I got two big thoughts, but I want you to go first here.
You have two big thoughts. I have zero thoughts. So you give one of your big thoughts.
All right, well, my first one. Did you guys get the little joke in there of Lana saying she hacked the system?
She's Russian.
She's a Russian and she hacked the system?
Didn't they do that again a couple of years ago when that Russian hacking thing happened with the... what was that movie? The Seth Rogen one. There was another hacking thing
Russian,
that they
yeah.
tried to do around there, yeah.
Well, this one, just for the fact that WWE Hall of Famer is in charge and won't believe that hacking doesn't happen with Russians.
I saw a picture from right after that gentleman was elected. Gentleman. I don't know how to properly phrase the guy. I'm just not saying him. But
We'll just-
it was a picture of him and 9 of the McMahons. It was Shane, Trips, Steph, Vince, Linda, and then all the grandkids and that sort of shit. 45% of the people in that room, including the President of the United States, had been stone cold stunnered.
Yeah, it's true. Thought number 2. How soon do they come out with Happy Aiden Night t-shirts?
I'd buy one yesterday.
Because, frankly, that if they don't come out with that is a major disappointment here.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. I really don't disagree at all, Mike. That's a very, very good thought. I appreciate it.
And here's the last point that we can wrap this thing up with a nice bow. The fact that we have to come up with these dumb jokes to get through this segment shows you how stupid this segment was to begin with.
Yeah.
So,
Nothing else that needs
You know
to be
what?
said.
And it keeps Rusev and Lana both involved in a storyline and consistently on my television. Let me tell you, it's a very happy Rusev day.
Well, and I
indeed
think
when
it's
that
only a matter
happens.
of time until Aiden's either on 2 or 5 or he's joining his former tag team partner on the Indies. Sorry.
I don't think he'll be joining his tag team partner, but he will be on the Indies.
Well, I was just going to say he's joining where his tag team partner is.
He's a
former.
Guerrero, not a chance.
Simon Grimm, I don't think would be a great tag team partner to work with right now. So,
Well,
You know
he's
what?
just
I
going to be
follow-
on the Indies.
I follow that guy on Instagram. I follow so few wrestlers on Instagram because let me tell you, that guy is entertaining. I have a whole new respect for Simon Grimm.
I'll give you that. He's entertaining. Just I
The
don't
guy's
know.
a hell of a follow.
Yeah, definitely. All right, KJ, you're the boss. Which way are we going here? Mixed match challenge or Mae Young?
Mixed match, of course, Mike. Hello, do you know me at all?
Well, sometimes you want.
Main event is main event here.
All right. I'm not gonna.
Even though
argue.
Charlotte Flair was the main event of this for me, so. Anywho, mixed match challenge. Match number 1 of week 4.
Week 4. And Spencer, you had a comment about how they're doing the format of this tournament.
Yeah, you know what? I like the power ranking system. I don't like the single elimination system that they utilized last year. So, yeah, let's bracket this thing. I think it's great.
I think it's to take a shot at New Japan, and I'm happy for it. If they're gonna play up the tournament bracket system that New Japan does, because that's exactly what they're doing.
Well, yeah, but you know how many different ways can you do a tournament? Like at some point, do you just look at something and say, "Huh, that's a good idea"?
Well,
I don't think everything's got to be a shot at New Japan.
I think with the 5 teams, it's a little more of a shot. But either way, you know what? I'm just happy it's happening.
I think it's just to sell more shirts.
Now,
Boom.
but like you said, let's get back to this first match here.
Yep.
We had Monster Eclipse taking on B&B.
Bed and breakfast. You know what? It was a good wrestling match. There wasn't a lot of gimmicks thrown around here. It was a good wrestling match. Entertaining. I'm a little sad that Bed and Breakfast didn't win. But, Ember looked fantastic, though.
I'm still disappointed I didn't get to see an eclipse off of Braun Strowman's shoulders.
It already happened.
I know I didn't get to see it this week again. I thought it was awesome. Yeah, like you said, great wrestling match. Not a lot of sort of the quote-unquote comedy aspects that we've come to expect from the Mixed Match Challenge. Just a good match. Just a good match.
Couple things I thought of in this matchup. One, this is probably the most serious match that we've seen in the Mixed Match Challenge so far.
Intensity.
Between all 4 of them, they were rather, intense, I think is the right term to put there. So.
Not to mess around.
Focused.
And number 2, it actually was pretty scary to think that Finn Balor was the smallest guy or girl in this matchup. Of all 4 competitors, he is the smallest person.
Yeah.
Height,
Yeah.
weight.
Well,
Yeah.
I'd say Ember's a little shorter, but I mean, by weight, Ember looks more jacked than he does. Well, he's pretty jacked, but he's pretty slimmed out.
Finn Balor literally hasn't had a carb in like 10 years.
He's great.
An example of a keto diet, I think.
Oh, man, the guy's an absolute monster.
Like
Finn Balor to
3%
me-
body fat.
Finn Balor to me is the perfect example of being able to suspend disbelief for someone awesome. Finn Balor is, to me, still one of the top 5. I'm going to say top 10 just to cover my bases here because there's a lot of really talented wrestlers in WWE. He is still a top 10 talent on that roster. If he was to believably beat Braun Strowman, hell yeah, I can take it. There's not many other guys on the roster you could say that about. especially at his size.
For me, he is one of the 3 most underutilized wrestlers on the roster for the male side.
100%. And I think
No arguments here.
I think that coming out of it, Bailey and Ember Moon, I just love watching the both of them wrestle. Anytime you can put the two of them in a ring together, like I'm already excited for when they finally get a full-on singles feud or a full-on definitive singles match. Because even in the short burst that you sort of got here, like they look good together. I don't really think you can say much else other than that, purely for the fact that they only really got to work for about 5 minutes. But
well, it seems like Ember's really finding her own now. I think. What do you think, AJ?
She's got that main roster confidence finally. I think she's gotten over her little bit of, oh, I'm new here, blah, 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 blah. But I mean, when you have somebody that you're wrestling against that's Bailey and they kind of share the same values, the two of them, and you could tell by how well they chain wrestled. And I was like gushing the whole time. I was like, oh, they're so good. Oh,
Well,
just
folks,
love it.
Just because of this moment and the way that KJ reacted to it, KJ is actually suggesting that we get a live camera in here so we actually video our reactions to stuff during the matches. And
so if you guys want to watch Spencer drink watching wrestling, send your notes to Backbreaker Media, but without the A because they're Canadian.
exactly, we don't need an A, but
Boom. I know all your cheap plugs now too, Mike. We're hanging out too much.
this is scary. But Braun Strowman manages to catch Finn Balor and get the 1-2-3 and give Monster Eclipse another victory here. I think they're tops in the group right now.
Yeah,
Correct.
2-0.
So, and then we found out that next week Team Paws is going to need a couple new fangs to work out here, 2 new claws.
I'm Team Cesaro for that.
I'm there too, but unfortunately they're
Wait,
on
hold on a
SmackDown.
sec. I was going to say, yeah, they're on SmackDown. Would that work? Could she draft anybody she wants?
I don't know. Well, if you had to pick somebody off of
Well, I was
Raw,
gonna
who would
say,
you
no,
pick?
I gotta
Who would
think.
you pick?
Damn. Get the thinking powers.
For me, I would think, let's go back to PWA alumni. Tyler Breeze.
Oh, shit. Oh, that would be really good.
He's not
Ooh.
doing anything right now, and I guarantee
he's
you
not.
that the glitz and glamour that those two would have,
That would be
you
funny.
can still keep up the Canadian part of it together. Spencer, who would you pick?
I think he's a perfect option, but like you said, he's not doing anything right now, and I think the WWE wants to use this to promote the people who are doing things right now. That's the only drawback I can see to that, Mike. But like, other than that, I think Tyler Breeze would be a perfect solution. Who else?
Well-
You're not going to have the Shield in there. Brock Lesnar.
Oh, that would be amazing. I don't think you'd be using up
Use
his,
Brock's $1 million. Use Brock's $1 million to have him appear on the Mixed Match Challenge.
his 32 appearance clause, and you burn 5 of them by using the mixed match.
But could
challenge.
you
That was-
imagine how many eyes you would get on the finals of the Mixed Match if you had Monster Eclipse versus...
But they're on the same side. And they've already faced each other, so they wouldn't be facing
Yeah, I
each
was
other.
going to say, not going to happen. I think
Brock
that would be
Lesnar.
great.
Brock Lesnar can stare down the rest of the other teams and have them take their wins away.
Yeah, pretty much, I guess.
Like, he's literally the guy I would least like to meet in a dark alley.
Now, the only other reason why I think there's a possibility of having Tyler Breeze in there is you have next week's Raw where they usually try to pump up the Mixed Match Challenge, as you were pointing out, KJ.
Mm-hmm.
Why not have Lashley dominate Tyler Breeze in another squash match like they did with Kevin Owens this week?
Yeah?
That's very well a storyline they could go with here, but like you said, anything could be all over the place. They have multiple people on that roster they could pick from. So
They have so many that I'm sure I'm not even thinking of on the Raw side.
Guaranteed. I mean, I'm trying to think of somebody that Natty's like close with, but pretty much everybody she's close with for men are on SmackDown.
pretty
So,
much. Well, let's go over. Speaking of SmackDown, let's go to the SmackDown match, and the team that, just being a nitpicker, I am absolutely pissed off with the team of Phenomenal Flair.
haha.
Please learn how to spell. It's FEN according
Phenomenal.
according to WWE, which I never knew Iiconics was a thing for WWE. But they were taking on the team of Fabulous Truth, which this whole week R-Truth has been claiming that Carmella was taking on Ric Flair.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, can you really call this a match? There was about 40 seconds of wrestling.
There was a lockup and there was a finish. It is a match.
Oh, and actually, you know what? Carmella pulled a Hurricanrana off on AJ Styles, so I'll give her credit. That was sick.
And they ran around the ring, 14, 15, 25 times?
3.5 times because I counted.
Yep. So this was fans listening at home. If you've watched this week's edition of the Mixed Match Challenge, this was about the polar opposite of what you would have gotten out of the Monster Eclipse versus. I'm really bad with B&B. I'm really bad with these team names. This was about as comedy a match as you will get in the Mixed Match Challenge. Not to say it wasn't well done, but about 40% of it featured two 41-year-old to 46-year-old guys attempting to dance.
Attempting?
AJ Styles
pretty
certainly
damn
attempted to
good.
dance, and as soon as a floss gets thrown into it, I'm taking any semblance of dancing away.
Pretty much. Well, you also got to remember you had Charlotte Flair, who was legit hurt in that LCD board.
Very true.
She ended up having. You were talking about this, and we're going to talk about it later, KJ. The selling the injury.
She sold it for 110% of that match. And I mean, you look at the when. Let me just throw it out here. Did you notice what they did on their double down? Ha! But not really. But literally, their double down. Carmella and Charlotte's. Did you notice?
Not off the top of my head. Go ahead.
They're both right-handed. Charlotte hurt her right arm. They threw their clotheslines for the double down with their left arms, both of them. Beautifully done.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed that, but I did, and I thought it was great. Like I said before, Charlotte is starting to slowly gradually build up to the wrestler that she can be. She's so close. This just proved it again. Psychologically, this was hilarious. They barely wrestled, but her and Carmella entertained the hell out of me. I thought it was great. And she threw in her nice reversal that you popped for last week again.
Yeah, basically the jackknife cover into the cone of seclusion.
Yeah.
Carmella's making that seem so effortless now.
Code of silence?
Cone of silence, sorry.
Seclusion. I like seclusion, though.
I think it's code of silence, not cone.
Actually, it's cone because their legs are wrapped around in a form of...
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was
cone
cone.
of silence is the proper phrase. I think that's a phrase that a code of silence is essentially a code of honor.
You need to go back and watch
knights.
Get Smart and understand what the cone of silence is.
Yeah, I think you need to learn the medieval history of anything that ever happened in medieval times.
Fair enough. We're not going back that far. We're not all that intelligent here.
So we're just going back to 2005's Get Smart.
Pretty much.
Is that as far as our history goes on here? We've got a 13-year window.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the average age of our WWE writers.
We basically have since the start of the PG era. That's the only acceptable history here on Double Down.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, perfect. Now that I know the parameters, KJ, your thoughts?
I liked the match. I thought it was funny. I thought it was entertaining. That's all I got to say. I mean, I'm glad they... there was no way. Unless Charlotte freaking, broke both of her legs, she probably was still going to come up for that match regardless. Props.
I'm just shocked you didn't see R-Truth get a pin on the WWE champion AJ Styles.
Well, in the way they finished it up, they did that protect the Styles clash and then turned into a sunset flip with the Carmella holding the hands, and then all of a sudden their broken hands turned into a cradle 1, 2, 3. So...
it was good.
Unfortunately, I think
it was a very descriptive 10 seconds there of the of the end of the match. Thank you.
It reminds me of my commentary when I saw something similar on Evolution that's going to be coming out next week. But this match here basically sunk Fabulous Truth because now they're 0-2.
I'm sad about that.
With Phenomenal Flair now going to 1-1. So.
Boo!
This is.
I'm sad.
Last week.
Yeah, they're gonna have to. They're gonna have to really put it into high gear in order to get into the finals here. So
this is one of those things where I just want everybody to win.
Well, we're all winners for getting the chance to watch all this.
That's actually
And as
true. I
long
really
as
like
they
this
all
match.
tried their best and had fun, KJ. Then
Yeah, that's why I like the
mixed
mixed match challenge, because everybody seems like they legit have fun. So I like watching that. I don't care about the results, even though it bums me out because I know the tournament's almost over, ish, sort of.
Well, speaking of tournaments that are almost over, is it time to move on to our main event?
Yeah.
The Mae Young Classic, the second set of second round matches. We're tonight. Well, we're last night. We're recording on Thursday here, but we just watched them.
Bring up my notes here.
It is. Let's put it this way. I think this one was exciting, but very basic. I think is the way to.
In
put
terms
it.
of match quality, I like last week more, if I'm honest.
Spencer,
You know what? I'm not gonna lie, and please take this as least offensively as humanly possible. But this was probably my least favorite episode of the Mae Young Classic so far. But I do think, to be honest with you, that's a huge testament to how good this season has been. I think even at this point, it's heads and tails above last year's, and I loved last year's. That being said, I think a lot of the matches. For whatever reason, none of the matches tonight really seem to click into that next gear for me that one match in every episode has seemed to get, in my opinion, you know. You had some of the most talented wrestlers in the women's division, or whatever you'd like to call this Mae Young Classic roster. You had some of their more talented members wrestling tonight. You look at Mae Young, you look at Io Shirai. Like, you've got some major talent there. And none of the matches to me, none of them were bad. I enjoyed all of them, but there probably isn't one I'm going to go back and watch again.
I disagree. I think Deanna and Xia Li, they were very close to breaking through that wall. But I think in terms of intensity and storytelling, Mia versus Caitlyn broke through that wall. Like, they smashed through it.
I would have a tendency to agree that last match definitely did deserve the main event spot for this show.
Yeah.
But the other three, like you said, they were okay, but nothing much
Yeah.
to write home about. But let's get to the matches specifically here.
Number one.
And Spencer's going to love this because he gets to go through his numerous foibles about the commentary on this show.
Absolutely
Zusi
atrocious.
taking on Io Shirai.
Oh, I love Xerxes.
Xerxes, Zusi.
There were about 11 different pronunciations throughout this, and I think like 9 of them came from Beth Phoenix.
I don't know. Michael Cole kept like saying something, but yeah, Beth was poor
I
Beth.
just enjoyed it. I don't even mean to take shots. I don't think they're that poor of a commentary team whatsoever. But
No.
yeah, it was, again, just a match. I don't really like Zeuxis or Zeuxis. Or I'm very sorry with the pronunciation if you're ever listening to this. I don't really like her very much as a wrestler. I think she's been put up against 2 very talented opponents, both of who were unable to cover for the fact that she's a bit sloppy. I really don't have another way to put it. There's not very often that I watch a match and can notice small botches and that sort of stuff to the extent that you guys can. Her, I noticed them a ton. And you can't have one of the top women, if not the top woman wrestler in the world in Io Shirai. I want a better match, to be quite honest with you, out of both of them, because like that, this was the most disappointing on the card because I knew the talent of at least one of the wrestlers going into it, and yeah, it just sort of went nowhere for me.
Well, the one thing that got me, and for me, yes, it was a little off match from what you're going to get those in a tournament where you have random
First times
people
ever
from different federations, different parts of the world going at it. My fault in this is with the production staff, and this is coming after 2 days of editing video. The finish of that match was a moonsault by Io Shirai onto Zusi in the middle of the ring, but she landed on her legs. Now, with all due respect, you have 4 cameras there. You couldn't find an angle where you could hide that a little better with the impact. Maybe something towards the ground a little bit more, where it's closer to the face of Zusi on the ground or something.
Yeah, it made it look like a weaker finish.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it was if she would have attacked the knee after and do some kind of leg submission, okay, fine, but she just plain old missed there, and they ended up selling it as a 1-2-3 finish.
Mm-hmm.
KJ, what were your thoughts on the match? That should sum it up pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. I was just disappointed. The thing that I want to take out of it is I didn't hate it. Like, it was okay. I just thought, yeah, it could have been better, especially for a second round match. And I was just kind of disappointed because as like the match went and then the finish came, all I kept thinking was like, damn, this would have been such a better match if Ariel Monroe was her opponent instead of Zusi's.
Yeah.
That's all I kept thinking the whole match. I'm like, this would have been more entertaining. I'm sorry. I don't want to go ahead, Mike.
To me, thinking in real time here. Now, for those that don't know, this was pre-recorded, but the second, third, and fourth rounds were all done on the second day of taping, with the first round being done on the first day. So basically you got these ladies coming out thinking they got 3 matches if they're going all the way to the finals. So they might be thinking ahead to what's going on in the future rather than focusing what's on the ring right now. I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm thinking that could be a possibility here.
Yeah, perhaps.
To me, this could have been a lot better, but you know what? We got a winner go through, and I think we can all say that the right person won the match.
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt.
100%.
Yeah.
But moving on to our next match, and you were rather excited for this matchup here, KJ. Deonna Purrazzo and Xia Li.
I was looking forward to this all week. I was like, yeah, this is going to be so good. It's kind of like what I said a few minutes ago in regards to their match. Like, the intensity was there. The intensity was there. It was hard hitting, that's for sure. The moves were great. I just, like, they tried and they tried and they tried, but I don't think they broke through the wall of having as good of a match as the main event. Like, I think they were trying really hard to get there. They just didn't reach it. And I don't think the match didn't seem very long to me. And the finish was great, though. It came kind of suddenly, though. I don't know how I felt about that, but it was great. The finish was great. Sorry.
Well, you had Purrazzo working on different parts of the body, but most specifically the arm, as she should have.
Yep.
And that finish, basically, it was It was a very elaborate Rings of Saturn, I think would be the best way to put it, where she basically scrunched both of Xia Li's arms behind her back and just started pulling and twisting, and shoulders aren't meant to go back that far.
The intensity on her face when she did it, though, is what grabbed my attention. Everything she does with it, like everything both of them did actually in the whole match, their intensity is what caught my eye. They just unfortunately just didn't get to the point that where I'm like, yeah, that was so good.
You can build up that point, but you have to build it up in order to get there, or else it just isn't as believable as you would.
So Deonna is signed.
Yes.
But is her opponent signed? Is my question. I don't.
Xia Li, I believe so.
I do believe both of them are
Okay, so this might not be the last time they face each other, but I think the next time, if they do, they'll know what to improve on, that they can have a match where I'm like, holy shit, that was amazing. They were almost there, but just not quite there.
Well, Spencer, your thoughts?
I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I'm not going to sit and say that it's my favorite match. I was really, really, to be quite honest with you, like you, KJ, looking forward to watching this match. Not even because of Purrazzo. She's someone who I've known for a while, and most people, to be honest with you, have known for a while as a real good wrestler. I was very excited to watch Xia Li because her last match, the first round matchup, was just, it was so unique. And I knew you weren't going to get something like that, just given the backgrounds. I forget, what was the name of her first opponent?
Karen Q.
There we go. It was so unique the way that they'd squared off initially, the way it was like sort of a martial arts contest rather than a wrestling match. And I think that she didn't showcase really any of that side of her in this match, whereas even if for for me, that was so cool and such an integral part of why I enjoyed her. I would have loved to have watched more of that this week. Yeah, that being said, I agree with everything already spoken. It was a fine match. No major blunders, no major issues with it, no major love for it. I think it was just a good wrestling match. Right woman won.
I'd agree with that. Let's move on to the third match here.
Let's.
Tegan Knox. Remember, I got the name right this time.
There you
not
go.
Like I did last time.
Congratulations.
Taking on Nicole Matthews.
The Shimmer Taker.
Thank you for getting that right, and she still is.
Yeah, you know what, Nicole? I'm sorry I screwed that up already again. I've apologized profusely, but damn it, I'll do it again.
Go ahead, Spencer.
Match of the
We're always
night for
going
me.
first.
I'll be honest with you. I enjoyed it more than the Kaylen Mae Young match. May just be because I do enjoy Nicole Matthews and I do enjoy Tegan Knox. I do have a bit more sort of history with them. I didn't watch a ton of Mae Young stuff before this, and I wasn't watching wrestling as much as I am now when Caitlyn was making her main roster run. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. I love Tegan Knox. I think that this the Mae Young Classic this year has really made a star out of her. Very, very excited to see where she goes from here. Yeah, I hate saying this about someone like Nicole Matthews, but I think the right woman won. I would have loved to have seen the Canadian moving on. I'm very excited, ideally, to see her live in the next little bit. Please come to Edmonton, Nicole. We'd love to have you here.
Well, myself personally, like one thing we were talking about as we were watching this, we were surprised how this wasn't more of a 50-50 matchup here. It was, what did you say, KG, about 80-20?
Yeah, like, I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of, it should have almost been like a David Goliath wrestled match, just from the way Nicole, like, physically dominates her opponents. But yeah, like, it was pretty quick, the match, and it was a lot of Dakota running circles around Nicole and hitting her with offense.
You mean Tegan?
Oh my god, what did I say?
Dakota.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
You know what?
I was looking at a video of them the other day. I think that's why. But anywho, Tegan was
Not even
mostly
the
her.
wrong name.
Mostly.
She is part of Team Kicks.
Yes,
so
that's
be
why. Because I was
thankful.
watching one of their things. Anyways, Tegan, it was basically her running quick offense around Nicole the whole time, and all of a sudden a quick win, and I was like, wait, what? That was it? The frick?
Right at the beginning, you saw Nicole using veteran savvy and working over the leg, and the commentary was hyping that up. But then all of a sudden, a quick change and
Boom, it's done.
Turned into some quick strikes by Knox, and then that shiniest wizard for the 1-2-3.
Hayden and I routinely refer to, and I mean this as complimentary as possible, we routinely refer to Nicole Matthews as the grizzled vet Nicole Matthews, because there are very few female wrestlers out there, in my opinion, that I can think of that have the ring awareness that she does. Like, we even call the high kicks that she's doing while she's got Knox wrapped up in the rope. She's just right on top of everything. She knows exactly where she is at all times. And I just think it's cool to watch for me, because I'm someone who loves to at least try to think the way wrestlers think. So, like, another cool moment for me tonight was when Caitlyn hooked the leg of Mae Young for the pin, and Renee pointed it out. You know, it's a smart move that Caitlyn hooked the leg that's closest to the ropes. I love seeing stuff like that. Nicole Matthews is just full of little stuff like that. So, Nicole, you're the shit. I'm just going to say that one again.
KJ, any more thoughts there?
I think the one main point I took from Nicole's offense is how great of control she has. And the one that really solidified it, where we're like, yeah, we have to watch that again. I don't want to bring up Brie, because I truthfully and honestly love Brie. Like, I really do. Like, I know from my comments this week, it may not seem like it, but I truly do love Brie. I can appreciate her. But just, you put parallel, like, the control Nicole has on her kicks they're just beautiful. And you look at the pacing she has, and how when Tegan, like, when she was falling back into the ring, Nicole saw that and stopped her pacing. Brie didn't stop her. So I just wanted to compare the two because I was like, look at the beautiful control Nicole has. And I think it's something that you need to notice because when someone does something beautiful like that, I just think it's underrated. Like I said, I really do love Brie. Honestly, I really do. But I just had to draw comparisons on how great of control Nicole has for someone of her size. And it reminded me of Rhea when I was saying she has great control for her size. Nicole has it as well.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And as far as I'm concerned, Nicole Matthews is one of the top female wrestlers in the world right now, and most unheralded wrestlers in the world because she's been in Shimmer and she's been in the Western Canadian promotions. Well, let's face it, the whole reason Backbreaker Media was formed is because Western Canadian wrestling just doesn't get the exposure that it deserves. That's how I started the whole thing 3 years ago. So almost 4 years ago. Damn, it has been a while.
Damn.
But with that being said, Matthews is the real deal, and Tegan Knox, I got a feeling that she could be one of those top favorites to go and not only win the Mae Young, considering she was healthy, but get onto the main roster eventually. She's got a certain it factor to her that a lot of wrestlers don't have, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. As soon as she kind of comes into the ring, she draws that attention, like, draws the eye to her. Like, and it's her aura. Like, there's nothing crazy about her look. Like, she doesn't look basic, but, like, there's nothing completely crazy that you're like, whoa, look at that girl with the, I don't know. Let's just take Liv, for example. As soon as you see that pink hair, your eye's drawn to the pink hair. Tegan Knox, like, it's just, like, her aura. Even though you can feel it through the TV. I don't know. But I'm just damn.
The best compliment I can give Tegan Knox is she is a terrific professional wrestler. And I think that as a guy who is a big fan of sort of the gimmick wrestlers, guys like The Undertaker, guys like Kane, the fact that Tegan Knox is so entertaining when her gimmick is, I compare it, I basically call it the Seth Rollins gimmick, where you don't have a gimmick. You're just a damn good professional wrestler, and you want to go out and be a damn good professional wrestler.
I don't know. She's the shiniest wizard, man.
But you know what? Seth Rollins is the architect and the Kingslayer.
But he is, though.
Everybody has a nickname, but it's not like Seth Rollins is coming out in a fucking hard hat with blueprints. You know? I think that Tegan Knox, her gimmick, yes, she's the shiniest wizard. She's not coming out in a Harry Potter cloak.
But
She's
think
coming
about
out
it
as a professional wrestler, and I
she's
hate
a wizard in the ring.
Well, I hate to put it this way, but she's earning her keep based on what she does, and not even the way that you would look at The Undertaker and say that is a damn cool character, you know?
Yeah,
She's just
I get what you're saying.
Wrestler.
Yep, and I mean that as complimentary to everyone in there as possible, because The Undertaker is a gimmick wrestler. There's nobody better. Because he, too, is just a damn good professional wrestler. At the end of the day, that is what it all comes down to. But having a gimmick like that on... I keep going back to Undertaker. Let's just go with someone like Rosemary to sort of bring it back to the women's side of things. Rosemary got noticed initially not... And this isn't meant to be rude, but not because she's a terrific wrestler. She is. But she got noticed because she's got a cool as shit gimmick. And then people started to build onto the fact that she's got some incredible in-ring ability. Tegan Knox or Nixon Newell or whatever her previous names prior to that would have been, came out, wrestled, and relied on natural charisma. And she's done a damn fine job since then.
I want to see... we get these women's tag team titles, man. When she comes back, sorry, spoilers, from injury, I want to see her in a tag team with her little buddy there. Bring him to the main roster. Throw him up there. Let's throw in some tag team wrestling.
Well, it'll be a year.
Well... when she comes back from injury, it'll be established by then. Hopefully, maybe, perhaps. Thinking too far ahead.
Don't know, but speaking of established...
kicks.
Let's
established veteran?
Exactly.
Is that where you were going?
That is a segue.
And
actually, I'm not talking about one established veteran. I'm talking about two.
Yeah,
in
damn.
two different areas.
Wow.
We got Caitlyn and Mia Yim in our main event. Wow.
We did. And... yeah, you know what, KJ? I'm going to take this one because you probably have a lot more to say on it.
I have a lot to say, actually. Go ahead.
I did thoroughly enjoy this match. Personally, preferred the match prior to this one. But it was a great match. You know what? I think Caitlyn is someone who is completely underrated and sort of unfairly lumped in. I use the word with some hesitation, but unfairly lumped in with the quote-unquote divas, which a lot of people have come to associate with being bad wrestlers. Caitlyn's awesome. As far as a powerhouse goes, I think she's great. She still has one of the best spears out there. I will 100% stand behind that. And Mae Young, honestly, is someone that I am playing a lot of catch-up on, trying to watch as much of her as I can from the past because I've never really given her the attention that I'm now realizing that she deserves. I just think that it was a well-put-together match. Coming out of it, if the best solution coming out of any match for me, or the best end result, is that I am excited to watch someone else's next match or check out some of their previous work or anything like that. And both of these women made me want to do that.
Absolutely. For me, they told a perfect story here. And I know KJ's going to get into it, so I don't want to get into it too much here. But the knee bar at the end was a perfect counter. And even though Mia was struggling to keep it on based on the injury she had, she still was able to do it. And the intensity put in the eyes of Caitlyn throughout that knee bar made it look like she was so close to the rope. She was physically close to the ropes to get out, but the intense pain sort of gave us the mindset that she wasn't in the right sense, that she could notice that she was that close to the rope to tap out or to get to the rope before she tapped out there. So as far as I'm concerned, this was the best match on the show, in my opinion. This one told the best story, and I think you got some talk about selling to do here, KJ.
Selling?
Yeah.
Okay, well, first I want to start off by saying, just to add on to Spencer's thing about Caitlyn being from, like, the diva era, I'm going to say it this time. Caitlyn, in her first WWE run, she was a diva. She wrestled like a diva. Everything she did was diva. Caitlyn is not a diva anymore. She's a fucking wrestler. If you see what she did tonight, I was like, holy shit. She is not the same person she was, 5 years ago? She's a wrestler now. And don't get me wrong, like, the girls from the divas, she was, quote unquote, I would put her underneath the diva wrestler in her first run. She's not anymore, is what I'm trying to say. Like, she is damn good. And it's too bad. Like, I don't think she's going to stick around much after Mae Young, but I really hope she would, especially after this match. And to go to the psychology of this match, holy shit, that's what stole my attention the whole time. The wrestling was great, but the psychology in it, like, you take Mia, for example. She goes and chops Caitlyn once. Realizes, like, holy shit, my hand is basically broken. The look on her face, like, both of them, Caitlyn's leg was beat the crap up, but she didn't forget about it. Mia never forgot about her hand, not once. So it's just, like, everything in that match, like, it could have been, like, it was a great wrestling match, don't get me wrong, but the psychology stole the show. It was beautiful. Beautiful! 10 out of 10. Well, 9.5 out of 10.
See, what I'm thinking when it comes to that match is every single move in that match was directly related to the injuries they sustained from a week earlier. So, to your point, the psychology in this was absolutely excellent. Both strategies were right on par what they should be. And the finish was exactly the way you need it in that position. So, Mae Young,
she worked on that leg the whole time.
And
got her to tap out.
Being the veteran has more than one way to finish off a match.
Yep.
While Caitlyn has that spear, and the spear, kicking out of that spear, you sort of had a feeling you knew what was going to happen there.
Yeah, she wasn't going to win,
but at the same time.
But I think right after that, she went to work on the hand, didn't she? She tried to get her submit. Shit.
The European style, breaking the fingers, breaking
hand manipulation.
Oh, that was
beautiful.
Yeah.
And she didn't let go of it. She kept adjusting and kept going, and she had her friggin' leg across her throat at the same time. And I'm like, good. So good.
Best thing to do, go watch this match. Simple as that. If you haven't watched the Mae Young...
Ring Psychology 101.
Spencer recommends the match before. We recommend this match. the last half of the show was absolutely great. So
The intensity was there. I loved it. That's why they broke through the wall, because everything they did had intensity. Just like, I loved it. Good job, Caitlin. I'm kind of sad you didn't win, but at the same time, I'm glad Mia won. So there was no losers here for me.
Well, frankly, I'm glad that they had a little bit of a slowdown show here, because next week, all 4 quarterfinals.
Yeah.
My goodness, those matches are going to be nuts.
I am so very, very excited. Of any episode of the Mae Young Classic that you could consider a stacked episode, I would probably say that you could consider next week's.
Because I don't think there's a single wrestler in there that doesn't deserve to be there.
Yep.
No.
I would completely agree with you there, Mike. I would completely agree with you.
Considering we're already over an hour and a half into the podcast, I don't think we're going to get too much into a preview of what's going on for the next episode, but you're talking about people that deserve to be there. I think it's time for our latest little expose in our little podcast here. KJ?
Expose.
Your favorite top 5?
Yeah, so it's time for the Bad Bitches of the Week. Wait, I just butchered that. It's time for the Bad Bitches of the Week segment. Okay, honorable mention this week is Deonna Purrazzo. Just because her intensity in her match was just like, that's the most intense I've seen her yet. So I just wanted to throw it out there. But number 5 was something that made, I think, everybody laugh this week. Nikki Cross on NXT.
Going a little
Mike, elaborate, Mike. Give it a quick elaboration here.
Basically, Nikki Cross is the crazy lady of NXT ever since Sanity left for the main roster, and apparently has been lost in transit, but that's another story for another day and another podcast. Apparently, Nikki Cross was on the roof of the NXT training center when Aleister Black was attacked by a mystery man, and she knows who it is, but she's so batshit crazy that she isn't willing to describe who it is. This week on NXT, she just randomly comes out as Tommaso Ciampa and Velveteen Dream are potentially setting up a match between each other, and will literally smack the mic out of Tommaso Ciampa's hand twice.
To listen to his title belt.
And
I don't even know what to say.
Well, Tommaso earlier in the segment imitated that he was listening to his title belt, that
So funny.
Velveteen didn't deserve a match. Well, Nikki just followed up on it and decided to listen to the belt. So
I was really hoping.
So fucking good.
I was really hoping for a triple threat.
the whole crowd was cheering for a triple threat. And
Oh my god.
And I would have loved it.
And the other part is, near the end, there was a backstage segment with Cassius Ohno and William Regal, and Nikki Cross randomly showed up and basically said, "I know what you did that night."
Ooh,
Which
there it is.
Could be all over the place what that means, but anyway, there's your that's your story, and we're gonna have to get into NXT after Mae Young is done, I'm guessing. So.
Yeah, bring back NXT, and now that we have the UK women, that can just fill that segment nicely, don't you think?
This podcast may never stop.
So many opportunities for bad bitches.
There's a lot of bad bitches.
Anyway, let's get back to the list.
Number 4, I got to give it to Ember Moon. Just because the matches she had this week, she sold her butt off. She sold her butt off for Nia, and she sold her butt off for Bayley. So I just had to throw it out there. She sold her butt off the whole week, so I think she deserves to at least be on the list.
Oh, yeah,
What?
sorry. No, I was just going to say...
I think he's just stretching.
We're just going to say here.
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 That's all I gotta say. I mean, look at the replays of that Nia match, and that girl was flying all over the all over the ring. So
All right, number 3, and I think this is the one where you're breaking the damn rules again.
it's not. It's my rules. I had to put
Okay,
Mia Yim
Meltzer.
versus Caitlyn as number 3 because it was just a bad bitch match. Leave it at that. We just talked about it a second ago.
The match itself was the bad bitch.
It was.
All right, I like
The two
this
bad
segment.
bitches made the match a bad bitch.
Fair enough.
They made that ring their bitch. Number 2. I had to put Becky as number 2 this week. I'm sorry. I think she was number 1 last week. But this week, she was number 2. I mean, her performance in Super Showdown and on SmackDown Live proved why she needs to still be on this list. I think that's all there is to say.
Well, the reason I could say number 2 is that weak flip of the belt to get the DQ.
Yeah, Becky, you could do better than that. Come on. But still, it looked good. It looked fine.
Honestly, hit the knee. It's closer. You don't have to stretch as far. Anyway,
Whoosh.
number 1.
Of course, it's Charlotte Flair this week, just because, besides just her performances for Super Showdown and then on SmackDown, the fact that she friggin' busted her hand wide open and went out and still put on an entertaining mixed match challenge match, she deserves to be number 1. She had 3 great segments this week, so there you go.
I'd agree with that.
She deserves to be number 1. I don't think there's anybody else that deserves that spot.
Here, I believe.
Here. Congratulations, Charlotte Flair. Keep it up, man.
All right, I think that's going to wrap up this week's episode of Double Down. Would you not agree?
No, I think there's nothing else to add. Just build up to Evolution. Keep showing them promos for Evolution.
Boy, this was a short one this week.
No, this is pretty much what we normally do now.
About around here.
So Spencer hasn't been around lately since we've expanded
Yeah, it's driving me
the format
getting
a
my
little bit.
invites in the mail.
No, didn't that carrier pigeon get over to your place?
That one goes
Them
sent back
carrier
real quick.
pigeons, man. They don't work ever. Not if you trained your dog to chase birds away because you don't like them.
I don't even want to get into...
KJ's scared of birds.
Austin knows. I had to teach him. He knows.
Regardless, Spencer,
Yes.
please plug away. This is your favorite
Plug
time to
away.
plug away.
Well, guys, first of all, I wanted to say thank you for having me again. I always appreciate watching the wrestle with the two of you. So thanks again. Always appreciate being a guest. Friends, you can check me out on the Win Calm Sports Network, for the most part exclusively on the Win Calm Sports Network, where you can find all your previews, reviews, and breaking news from local and independent wrestling. I am Spencer Love, your host of Over the Top Rope. We come out, I want to say every Friday, but we come out pretty well when I decide I want to get together and actually edit an episode.
You do what you want, Spencer. You do what you want.
I'm like a free-range kitty.
Yeah.
Let's just
I
say
do
this
as I
week
please.
might be delayed due to the length of this podcast, but...
No, already recorded yesterday's, and I will be editing tomorrow, so don't forget you can check out
Yeah, that went from
Over the
tonight to
Top
tomorrow.
Rope. Check out Over the Top Rope on the Wincom Sports Network, where we feature interviews with the best of the best in Edmonton and Alberta's wrestling overall, with myself and my fellow brother of discussion, Hayden Love.
Oh, I was going to say, I listened to when you interviewed me the first time we ever met.
Oh, yeah?
I listened to that this morning.
Oh, yeah?
Don't ask me how it showed up on my feed, on my freaking Apple podcast thing, but it was there, and I'm like, hey, I know that girl. I'm going to listen to this interview with my
seems
breakfast. Yeah, I was at work, and I was eating my breakfast. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to listen to this.
Was it still good? Hasn't aged?
No.
Perfect. All right.
It was great. It was great.
There you go, guys. I've got an official wrestler's endorsement.
For my own interview. Go listen to it. Go listen to my interview on Win Column Sports.
Speaking of your own stuff, KJ, you want to plug stuff?
Yeah, just follow me on Kayla Jamies and everything. Everybody knows that. I wrestle this weekend.
Well, you don't wrestle. KJ,
No, I
wrestled
do.
in 6, 7, 10 months.
KJ Cash is retired. I do endorse my sister, though. She will be wrestling in Bonnieville for the very, very first time this weekend. So I think everybody should go check that out for Lakeland Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, folks.
Saturday night.
I guess I'm going to throw in my little plug here.
Yeah.
At the, I believe it's called the Beaver and Hunter Center in Bonnieville. Lakeland Pro Wrestling is having their debut show. And I'm going to be down there as part of the video team, and I'll be videoing the matches. So please don't huck too many things at the ring, because that'll be me taking the videos. So,
Who would have ever thought we had a wrestling show in Bonnieville, eh?
well, Northern Alberta hasn't got the love that it deserves. So make sure you guys get out there, and you get a decent crowd out there, and they will come back with more shows. So it's all up to the fans. If they're going to show up, then...
I think they're doing pretty damn good so far.
Oh,
I
it's
think.
going to be a fantastic show.
Be part of history, man.
Chris Parrish taking on
That's not the main event.
Lumberjack Larry.
That'll actually be really good.
Then you got Pride. I don't want to say Jack Pride because he'll kill me here.
Jack Pride.
On Twitter, Jack Pride. That's what I'm going to use from now on because I'm not going to lie then. Taking on Jude Dawkins. Taking on the... Oh, geez. Parrish had the same problem on his podcast this week.
You're all fumbling all over your words.
One of our newcomers to Alberta Wrestling. Come out and check out the show, folks. And then, of course, Envy, she's taking on. I was almost going to say you, but you just look hauntingly familiar.
KJ Cash is retired. She took her ball and went home.
Yes, we've heard this many times.
What a loser. She never won anything.
You're talking about yourself.
Who?
Envy's going to be taking on Alex
I'm confused.
Zwicker.
Who?
All I know is made a very interesting debut at CWC last month. So
Shouldn't pin my sister, that's for sure.
Yeah, I believe she turned tail and run. So
she was emotionally and physically worn out because she had that match the night before. That one.
Well, you know what? Let's just
come check us out in Bonneville.
Stop. Yeah, let's stop this. Let's stop digging the shovel for you here. We don't need to bury you any further here. So, anything else you want to plug, KJ?
Bury? Jesus. No, it'll be a good show this weekend. I'm really intrigued. See Pride and it'll be fun.
Well, folks, you can check all the show notes for all the contact information for all of us here, but I think that's going to wrap it up here because they're trying to shut the lights off here at
the lights are slowly dimming. Grandma needs to go to bed.
Yeah, fair enough. Once again, I want to thank Spencer Love for joining us here.
Me? Thanks for having me.
Of course. And then, of course, KJ, the host of this show, which sounds weird because I'm the one closing
I was going to say,
off.
you take the reins because you got to say your cheesy closer.
Just make sure if you have a false finish, you got to include a double down.
You say it different every week.
Yeah, I know, because I never write it down. But this
You know what? That's fine. Keep going with it. You just do you. Play my music.
Goodbye, folks.